what I didn't mean it in a bad way, but I always said, if you really want to be there for us, you'll make it happen, right? We're giving you 2 years in advance. There's no way that you can't make it happen. Um,
Hi, Jay.
Iomi.
Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm excited.
Good. I'm so happy to have you on too. I know we've been going back and forth, but you are here. And are you excited, or like how excited are you right now?
I'm excited, nervous, excited.
Ah, okay, good. That's actually good. You're always the best when you have a little bit of nerves on you. So, no reason to be nervous. We're family. We're bride friends. So,
Yes,
this is
of
going to be
course.
good. And you get to go back down memory lane. So,
Of
what's better than
course.
that, right?
Right?
So, you look amazing.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you. I
welcome.
tried. I actually did try.
You did it. You did wonderfully.
I
Um,
slayed.
you did, yeah. Yes, you did.
Girl, that's what my husband told me. He was like, "Okay, good luck. Good luck, honey. Slay." And I was like, "Did you just
Ah!
say slay?" Like,
We're gonna tell him, well, you're slaying already. So yes, I love it. He's so cute. So for anyone who doesn't know you, and you are very, very active in the community, we all kind of have an idea of your story, but we have our newbies too. So can you introduce yourself, where you live, where you got married, and when, and all that good stuff?
sure. So my name is Jay. I'm from California. Work in San Francisco. So I'm in the Bay Area. Born and raised. That's just where I've been these last few years. I did get married at Xcaret in Playa del Carmen. The ceremony was at Hotel Xcaret. It's a church called Capilla de Todos los Angeles. So that's Chapel of the Angels at the hotel resort. And my reception was at Xcaret Park.
Okay. So first of all, you said Angeles. That's like Los Angeles, right? Basically, is that what
Yes.
that looks like?
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess they said it's called Chapel of the Angels.
Right. And they say like
Basically.
Los Angeles, the city of the angels. So okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And I didn't know, I knew you were in Cali, but I didn't know where specifically. So
Yeah.
we're actually taking a Cali trip, and we're going to be staying in San Francisco. So it's literally going to
Girl,
be like overnight, but who knows? Like that'll be
there's
fun.
so much
So
you can do overnight. Trust
yeah.
me, just hit me up. I'll let you
Yeah.
know all the good
We
spots.
we need a restaurant situation too, something laid back. We want to do something, that the locals do. So,
There's plenty. There's plenty.
but anyway, to your wedding. Now wait, the where you got married, was that where the like? There's this big, beautiful yellow door. Is that in the? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. So that's
Okay.
called the Chapel of Guadalupe,
Okay.
and that's in Xcaret Park.
Okay.
Um, the chapel that I'm talking about is the one at the hotel, which looks like a pyramid.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's like a pyramid, and then the church is on top of the pyramid.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense more now. Okay. And you had so many different elements to it. I watched your video. I love to watch the wedding videos right before the interview. It gets me all in the mood for you specifically. And the like you did cultural elements, you incorporated your religion at the same time, and I know that you had quite a story about the resort as well. So
Mhm.
before we jump in too far, how did you two meet?
Oh, of course. So of course, I have a different story. If Alex was here, he'd tell you
This is
otherwise.
I love that couples have this. The story is always different. So yes, I'm gonna need to get his side too.
Yes, but I think that's like one of my favorite episodes with you and Che, like when you guys go back and forth. That's how we are. So my version of this, we met in high school. I do know who he was, or I did know who he was, but I never really talked to him, not in the same circle. We both did jujitsu
Hmm.
after school at a separate place at a jujitsu academy. So I've seen him there and I've seen him at school, but we never really like talked unless we were like sparring or um, just hanging out at the academy. Um, but his version would be like, "Oh no, we met at jujitsu." I was like, "No, I knew you. I know where you hung out. Like you were in auto shop, like on this corner in this part of the school. Like you were hanging out with so and so, you know."
uh,
um, but yeah, so we met. Uh, I guess you would say like back in high school, like 2009.
okay. Oh my
2009.
gosh, I am old. Lordy, lordy. Okay. Okay.
I am young though, only
No,
so.
I know, I know, I love it. So you guys met, but were you like, are you guys high school sweethearts, or did you start dating later?
We dated, I guess he waited till I was 18. Because he didn't really start talking to me until after my 18th birthday. And so I had a 18th birthday cotillion. Do you know what those are? Like a debut or a cotillion for Filipino women. So
Is
when
that
they
when you
like a
wear the
sweet
beautiful
16.
dress? I know the beautiful dress
Yeah.
and everything. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, it almost looks like a wedding dress. Depends on what color. Mine was white, obviously, but
Right.
um, yeah. So it's like a sweet 16, but for Filipinos.
Okay, like the
So
presentation of you as a woman, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
and you have like 18 roses, 18 candles. 18 roses are like the men who will dance with you, and then the 18 candles will be wishes for you and your future. And usually it's presented by women. So I did have like a big party, and it was like 300 plus people. Um, I invited Alex because I was talking to him at that time. We were just friends, and he did come. And I think one of our first pictures together was at my birthday. I could actually give that to you. I do have it.
Yeah.
But we were like such babies. We weren't dating at that time, but we were friends. Um, and then shortly after that, we did like a jujitsu competition, hung out. And yeah, that's where it all began after that.
Oh, that is so cool. Jiu-jitsu. You're yeah, 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 you're awesome. So do you still do you still practice?
I don't just because I have like a knee injury,
Right. Okay.
like a permanent knee injury. Yeah. So I don't, but he does still. At
Okay.
least one of us can do it. It's okay. I can watch.
Right. And critique him like, mm-mm, nope, you know what? That last move, no. You can do better.
I'll be like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
that didn't work.
Okay, and then how long, I guess, when did he propose? How did he propose?
He proposed
Or did he
years.
propose? I guess I should
He
assume.
did.
I'm assuming he proposed. That's such an
He
assumption on my
did.
part now. Yeah.
He did propose. Uh, I guess accordingly to our timeline, we were together what 2011, and he proposed in 2019.
Okay.
Um, so how many years is that? A long time, like a long time.
Yeah,
But
8 years around about. Yeah, close, plus or
yes,
minus.
uh, yeah, he proposed June 23rd of 2019 in Punta Cana. We were actually vacationing. Um, yeah, it was beautiful. I didn't really expect it, and the way my reaction is to surprises isn't very, I guess, good.
How so? Like, are you like the stale face kind of, or?
um, I knew it was kind of weird, like because we were going on a 2 week vacation, and Alex isn't the type to go on like these 2 week vacations. Usually, he's like 4 days max, and we're good.
Mhm.
Um, and for some reason, he was like, "Oh yeah, we can go on this 2 week vacation," and he let me pick the destination, which we've already been to Disney World, and I really love Disneyland. Um, So he was just like, okay, you want to go to Disney World? I was like, okay, and I kind of got a hint. I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna propose, right? And so like we went to Disneyland, did the whole 5-day thing, and he didn't propose. I was like, girl, my face. I started having a tooth, right? I was like,
the rest of the trip, you're like, okay.
yes. So I think it was our last day, and I was like anxious. I was like, oh my God, let me look cute. Let me make sure my lashes are good. I think I had issues with my lash extension, so I even got them done in Florida. Like, I was just like, okay, let me be cute. And then it was the last day, and he did not propose. So at the end of the night, I was just like, he's just never going to propose. Forget it. Like, I'm just
right.
So
it's been 8 years. You're like, okay, yeah.
I was like, forget it. Like, and we're only spending the last, I think, 3-4 days in Punta Cana just to like end our trip in relaxation mode before going home. And I guess that day we go, I'm like having an attitude already, right? He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm just tired from this trip. I'm like looking through the luggage. I was like, there's nothing in here. I know there's no ring in here. Forget it. I'm just mad now.
You're looking for the ring.
I was looking because I was like, peeking through everything, like fixing his clothes. I'm like, nothing's in here, Omi. It was a trip. So I was already angry. And then he tells me, okay, tomorrow, let's take pictures. Right. And I was just like, what do you mean?
Like, why would we do that? We're not getting married. So why are we still doing this?
Yeah. Because that's my attitude. I was like already stank face. Like, and he was just like, oh, no, like we'll do dinner. And I know you always wanted to take pictures and it's our first time here in Dominican Republic. So let's take pictures. And I was like, all right, whatever. Right. Like, that sounds good, I guess. So the next day we go out and like the butler meets us and he was just like, oh, we're going to I'm going to introduce you to this photographer and he's going to go take you to the beach and take pictures. Okay, whatever. Right. Like, I guess. So, he's like, oh, hola, señorita. Hola, señor. Right. Like, my name is whatever. I'm going to be taking your pictures. Let's do a couple solos. And so, he had Alex take a couple solos and then we had like pictures together and then posted up on a tree and then Alex by himself again on a tree. And I was getting mad. I was like, why?
Like, and this is his photo shoot too? Like,
yes, I think that's why I was just so thrown off and I didn't think he was going to propose because I was like, why does he get a photo shoot? Like, take a picture of me. I want to pose too, like, what the heck? And so, Alex was like on the tree with his feet up and like, he's just posing. And I'm just like, stank face again. Like, okay, this is annoying. I'm like, I'm done. I'm over this. He calls me. He was like, señorita, okay, your turn. I was like, oh, finally, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, I'm finally gonna go take pictures. He's like, stand here. And I was like, oh, with the water in the background? Ooh, I like that. Right? And I was like, yes. And I said, girl, I was posing.
You were ready?
I was like, oh, hey. Like, and then he was just like, okay, you got to turn a little bit. And I was like this? Right. And he was like, no, señorita, turn more. And I was like
the back of me?
My back. So
you like booty? You like, okay, hold on.
Yes, girl, I was like showing my booty. I was like, oh yes, like this.
Look back at it, yeah.
Yes, and I was like, oh hey. And he goes, señorita, I need you to turn all the way. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So I turned around and Alex was on his knee right by the water.
Oh, he was over there. You just were too busy looking at
Because I was like, this.
You never looked the way he wanted you to. Oh.
And I thought he was just like trying to get like a booty shot. So I'm like, okay, let me like pop this out, like pose like this. And he's been telling me like, no, turn around. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is as far as I can go,
Oh, I love it.
And so I turn around and I'm like shocked, and I see Alex down on one knee with a ring in his hand, and of course, I told you already, I don't react very well to surprises. So I don't know if you can edit this out. I don't know if beep, but I said,
No, you don't need a beep. Yeah. Shit, damn. Hell, fuck. No.
I looked at Alex and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And his response as he was like holding the ring, he's like, what do you mean? What the fuck am I doing? And I was just like, oh my God, right? Like I was like shocked. And then he was like, well, I was like, well, are you gonna ask? And he asked, and I was like, yes, right? And so, yeah, we took pictures, and there was like a crowd in the back, like an old couple, and they're like, oh my God, is this like a recreation of the? I was like, no, that's just my natural reaction to what the fuck. I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, this is real. I was like, yes, this is real.
Like, is this a reality show? No, this isn't a show. This is real. Oh, I love it. And that tells so much about your personality at the same time too. So, it's funny. Che proposed in Punta Cana too. Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, I love it. Oh,
it's beautiful there.
It is. The ocean is crazy. Yeah, crazy blue. Yeah, it's beautiful. You should go. We should go back. Okay, so you guys are engaged. How did you decide on destination?
Destination. So I know Alex really liked the beach, right? And I always dreamed about a wedding that's intimate. Because like growing up, like you have so many friends and so many acquaintances, and like just Filipinos in general, like their parties are huge. Yeah. If I did it here in America, I just had a feeling like my mom would be like, oh, your auntie's friend's boyfriend is gonna go, and I'll be like, no. That wasn't going to be my wedding, right?
You said you had 300 people at your cotillion, so yeah.
Yes, and most of them I didn't know. I'll be like, oh, that's your auntie's boss, and I'm like, my who? And I just say hi.
Hi. Thanks for the gift or whatever it is. Thanks, yes, right?
Thank you for coming, right? And that was fine because it was on their dime, right? But when it's on my dime, and I'm the type that won't expect my parents to pay for it. So like, I was just thinking, okay, should they not pay for the wedding? I want it to be intimate because you're paying per person. So you want to pay for someone that you really care about, right?
Absolutely.
So that was just always me, intimacy. And Alex loves the beach. I love the beach. So we're like, okay, let's not do it in California, right? Obviously, the whole intimacy thing isn't going to work. Philippines would work, but then all your family in the Philippines is going to start showing up, right? And I don't want to like uninvite someone or have any issues of that sort. Like, I never really talked to them, so why would I bring them in, right? So yeah, I was like, let's avoid that. Let's go somewhere that maybe we've been to already. My happy place is Maui. I love Maui. I traveled to Maui 3 times by myself. And like I tell everyone, that's where I found myself.
Oh, wow.
Just the spirit, the mana in Maui. It was so strong. I found a part of myself I didn't even know, right? Just traveling there. So I was like, the beach, the spirit, I was like, that it has to be Maui. So I told Alex, I'm like, hey, why don't we check out venues in Maui? And he was like, okay, we can do that. And I'm like, also let's pick a plan B. The second place I liked was Cancun. On our 5-year anniversary, we went to Cancun, and stayed at Hyatt Zilara. Mm-hmm. Beautiful resort. The sunsets. I think it was just the skies were beautiful. Like it was like
The
purple
pinks
and
and the purples and the I love a
yeah.
sunset. I live for a sunset. So
I mean,
yes.
obviously you can't really see it, but I mean the skies were beautiful.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it was beautiful, and we wanted to give it a shot, and it might be cheaper, right? Because Maui is expensive. So first stop, I think a few months after he proposed, um, we went to Maui. One of my friends in Maui is a wedding planner. So she took us to like different places in Maui, like mainly like beachy type of vibes because we were looking for a beach. Um, Beautiful. We found a place that was like called Sugar Beach Resorts or something like Sugar Beach. I think it was like just Sugar Beach. But it was like a venue and there was like a turf on the beach. And so like you're overlooking the beach.
Okay.
And it was perfect because there was like an inside outside type of reception. So like if you wanted to stay inside, there was like seating inside, and if you want to hang out outside by the beach, there was like seating outside as well. And the only thing that divides it, it's like one of those barriers, like the open walls. You know what I'm talking
Ooh.
about? Like when you just open
So, fully,
the
completely.
doors,
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
in a building. So um, we loved that venue, but we're like, okay, we need to see Cancun, which we had tickets to go to Cancun like the following month, right? We don't want to book something and not see everything that we have to see.
Right.
So we try to like go back. We asked how much it would be for that venue, and they told us 65,000.
Okay. And
And I
that's
was just
about how
like,
many people were you expecting at that point?
uh, like maybe like 120.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, 65. That's a number, right? Like I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's a number. um, so the following month we went to Cancun, and because we loved Xcaret. Last time we went on vacation, we went to Xcaret, and I was like, you know what? They have a hotel called Hotel Xcaret, um, and they have wedding venues at that hotel. Let's check it out. Um, let's stay there. So we decided to book our hotel at Hotel Xcaret. Um, the wedding department was expecting us. So we had like an interview with them, and they showed us like the different venues in Hotel Xcaret and Xcaret Park because we were
Okay.
interested in both.
Okay.
And so they were telling us about the different packages and how many people the package would include for. And it comes with food, cleanup, setup, tables, and just everything that the package included. Okay, cool, right? We weren't able to see the reception site, which was called La Isla in Xcaret Park because it was getting renovated. But we saw videos, photos, pamphlets, right? Like even to a point where they showed us other couples' weddings.
Okay.
So beautiful. And that like at that point I was like, we need to get married here. I like this.
Yeah. And
Right?
that was before renovation. So you loved it before the reno, right?
Yes. And I was like, I really like this venue. And he's like, how much do you like it? And I was like, well, how much is this? Right. The number they gave us, I think it was like $25,000 for like
Mm,
for a package. Um, and I'm like, okay, 25 versus 65. I think I'll
right.
take the 25. Right? Um, and he was just like, "Do you like it that much? Should we book it?" I'm like, "Do they have our date?" At this point, it was well over like 2 years in advance, right? This is before COVID.
Okay.
Um, so we're just like, okay, this is. I think we started looking at it 2020, right before COVID hit. I
Mm,
think we were there like January, February of 2020. And so, um, yeah, we looked it up, and then I just I think I made one phone call to the wedding planner in Maui, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys have September 9 of 2021 available at Sugar Beach? And she was just like, let me call. She called 10 minutes later. She's like, unfortunately, no. I'm like, it's a Thursday, girl. Like, I'm not getting married on a Saturday or a Sunday, even a
It's a
Friday.
Thursday 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
More than
no, yeah, 20. This is 2019, so because COVID was in 2020, so yeah, 20. Yeah, seriously, like, wow, okay.
And so she said, yeah, they booked the date. I didn't realize you guys were interested like that. Otherwise, I would have locked it. Even just like, just hold it for now. And I was just like, okay, well, that's a determining factor, right? Like, there's no chance in Maui, so let's just book this. And I looked at Alex. He was like, okay, what else can you tell me about this? Are we going to get married in this church inside of Xcaret? Because the yellow door that you were talking about, originally I wanted to go to that church because it was like an underground cave church. Right. So you got to go like through all these stairs to get down to the altar. And it was like, there's water surrounding it.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful church. And it'll accommodate, I think, up to like 200 people. So I wanted to do it at that church, but then realized, okay, if I do it at that church, like, what about decor? What about like where my guests are going to stay? Because if we book that church at Guadalupe, we didn't have to stay at Hotel Xcaret, and I wanted my guests to stay at Hotel Xcaret because the benefits, right? Like, you're close. I don't have to worry about like outside vendor fees,
right?
Or outside guest fees. So I was like, it's fine. We could book the chapel because it's easy access from my room to the chapel versus my room to Xcaret.
Were you thinking about transportation, like getting you from?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't realize they weren't. I know it's all really big and spread out too. So, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Xcaret was really close to Hotel Xcaret. It's like a 5-minute bus ride, maybe.
Okay.
But just in case, I was like, it's just easier for my guests to get to the chapel in resort, right?
Yeah,
just in
they
case
can walk
decided,
there, right?
Or if they decided to do an activity beforehand, right? Because initially they were saying that mass would be at 4 p.m. or I think it was like 6 p.m., like close to sunset. They wanted it like 6 p.m. at night. And I was like, that's kind of late. But they moved it to 4 p.m. because they said that there was a curfew in Playa del Carmen at that time. But they didn't tell me this until, I don't know, like a couple weeks before. But I still, it still was a determining factor, and we ended up booking the chapel at Hotel Xcaret versus Maui. But, yeah.
Well, as much as Maui means to you, you saw the Xcaret, and then also now you get to still keep Maui as your thing. You know what I mean? Like, Maui didn't get stressful. Maui could have became stressful potentially. You never really know, or something like that. So, okay. And then 65 to the 25, and budget wise, where did you end up?
Girl. Oh God.
That's always a fun story, the before and the after.
So we were expecting 25, or Alex was expecting 25. Let's be real. I was looking, okay, maybe 35-ish, because you're talking about extra expenses, extra stuff that you need to add on, right? So I already knew, I was like, you got to pay for more if you want to upgrade certain things. So I was thinking 35. Final number, 65.
So, which is hilarious, by the way, because initially Maui was 65, right? So, yes. But they also didn't have your date. So, wow. Okay, yeah. And we will talk about how we went from 35 to 65, because there's I imagine there's a story there. What's the significance of September 9th for you?
September 9th. So yeah, as I told you, it was a Thursday. That's a random day, right?
Right.
September 9th was when we first started dating. So our anniversary was September 9 of 2011. So
Okay.
I just figured, why not get married September 9 of 2021 on our 10-year anniversary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love
Right?
it. Yeah. Right. Even if it's a Thursday. I mean, and honestly, isn't that tends to be a cheaper date too, because it's not right.
It was a cheaper date. But with COVID and everything, everyone was like still getting married the same day, just in a different area. Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys pin down your date. And because your family is so big, and like you were saying, you guys initially is Alex Filipino as well?
No, Alex is Mexican.
Okay. So he has a Mexican family. You have a Filipino family. I'm imagining you guys just have a big families in general, and you're very family oriented people. Is that safe to say?
Yes, for the most part. Yeah, we just have big families, right? Like,
Right.
he has a lot of siblings. I have a lot of siblings.
How many?
There's 5 of us, so I have 4 other siblings, and I'm number 4 out of 5.
Okay.
So,
and then for Alex,
I think there's 5 of them as well.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah. So there's 5 of them as well. So, we just come from big families. It's just,
yeah. I love it. That's awesome. But how did you get pushback? Like, how were your parents when you guys said, "Hey, we're doing destination, and this is where we're going as well"?
Oh, girl. Pushback? Yes, absolutely. We got pushback. Like, just my personality itself. I didn't mean it in a bad way, but I always said, if you really want to be there for us, you'll make it happen, right? We're giving you 2 years in advance. There's no way that you can't make it happen. And the resort that I picked, I mean, we had a travel agent and everything, right? So you would just have to contact the travel agent. You go ahead and you book your room, and then everything's included. That means your tours are included, your food is included, your transportation to and from the airport is included, right? And for a cheaper price. I think the room blocks were like 50% off what their regular price was.
Wow.
So, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, why not, right? If you really are our friend or our family, or, you really want to be there for us, you can. 2 years is more than enough time. Granted, COVID, right? Like,
Right.
nobody knew about COVID coming to hit us, which is a stressor of its own. And I think you had a few Desti brides present like COVID weddings and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, I can't even imagine like having to postpone the wedding, right?
Right.
But the pushback was mainly from my family. My sister didn't even come to my wedding.
Okay.
Just for personal reasons. I don't know if it was like safety concerns or whatever. But she already told me from the get-go, hey, I can't go. I can't make it, right?
And that was pre-COVID. She kind of already was like, okay.
And everyone was asking too, like, why didn't you just pick Maui? And it's just like,
because it's closer for them. Is that the idea for them?
No, because they feel like it's safer versus Mexico.
True. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because I didn't want Maui, because I wanted Mexico. And they're like, okay, well, what about us? I'm like, what about it? Like, this is my wedding, right? This is my wedding. I get to plan it. Like, you could choose to be there or choose to not. Like, I really don't care at this point. I picked the venue. If you want to go, go.
Yeah. You're my kind of Desti, right? You already know. Yes. So I want to give a special thanks to our sponsor, which is you, the Desti Lovers community. To every single member of the Desti Lovers community, I want to thank you for making the show what it is. I'm so happy to have a place where all of my Desti Bride friends can meet and discuss all things Desti. The Desti Lovers community is an extension of the show and is your safe space for sharing and collaboration while planning your destination wedding. So here's what you can look forward to. The Desti Hour live Q&As, episode discussions, deep dives, bride friend brunch connections, giveaways. What else? Oh, and of course, the hours and hours of replays from all of the tutorials and the Desti Hour calls. So yeah, the Desti Lovers community is it. So get in the Desti Lovers community. I will see you in there. But for now, let's get into this interview.
I love you, but just if you guys don't want to go, then don't go. That's fine. I don't want to have to pay for people that don't want to be there.
That's real. That's real. Like, seriously, like, yes. I love hearing other people say the thing. So yes, in all seriousness, it's expensive. Like, you spent $65,000 before you even knew that, even 35 or whatever you're paying, right? Like, yeah, I'm paying my hard-earned money or however that goes to do this, and it will be really great to see the people who want to be there, some smiling faces that are supportive, so absolutely.
And you want the best, right? You want them to have fun too,
right?
That's part of like the whole intimacy part, right? So yeah, my sister didn't come, which was just on my side. I think that she was the only one that didn't get to make it. My older uncles and aunts, they weren't able to come either, but I think that was just because of COVID. And like, that's, safety precautions, right? I wouldn't want them to come either, especially like during September. I think it was a spike after summer.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to risk it. Like that would make me feel bad and uneasy, right? So yeah, there was just that. In Alex's family, there was a lot of people who couldn't make it, due to like personal reasons, like, maybe someone passed away from COVID or, so like, or just money purposes, right? Like it costs a lot of money to go to Mexico. And even if we planned, ahead, like 2 years ahead or more than 2 years ahead of time, and we gave people ample time, it wasn't going to work out for them, just right. Money wise, right? Yeah. And that's fine too. That's completely fine. But I would say at least 95% were all my family. Sadly.
That was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was, but yeah.
And how many guests did you end up with?
I think at the end of the day, it was somewhere between 71 and 75.
Okay. And,
which was more. We thought we were only going to have, we went from 120 to 80 because when COVID hit, we're like, right. We're going to have to cut this. And I worked so hard to cut that contract. I'm like, I don't care what you guys are saying, but with COVID, I'm not rescheduling my wedding. I'm just saying cut down the guest list to 80.
Right.
And they agreed. But for 71 or 75 people still showing up out of the 80, that's a pretty good number.
That is huge. Yeah, that's big. So how did you handle COVID? Like, and especially, I mean, actually, when did you join the community? Like, do you remember when you came about and found us?
I would say like a year out.
Okay.
Maybe halfway through.
Okay. So in COVID times, like how did you, because like you said, you got engaged and then you guys visited Maui and then you visited Mexico and you said this is the spot and we're getting engaged. And I mean, we're getting engaged, we're getting married. And then COVID hits. And then you're also witnessing all of the other things, right? You're in the groups, you're seeing the other brides and all of the craziness that's going on. Like, how did you, I know your date was further out, But how did you handle that? How did you guys work through that?
Um, we just kept working, right? We're just like, for me, prayer. I was praying. I was like, oh Lord, my heart was like pounding fast every month that went by, and COVID was just not going away. And I still had pretty high hopes. I was like, okay, it's 2020. My wedding isn't until September of 2021.
Yeah.
We got this, right? We'll deal with it when it gets there. Like,
Yeah.
once it starts getting closer, right? For now, we got to focus on staying safe, keeping our family safe, keeping everyone else informed, right? So just focus on wedding planning, I guess, right? And just keep it going. Like, hey, with new COVID regulations, we're still keeping our date. However, like we'll keep you updated on what Mexico requires for travel, right? Like,
Right.
we'll just every few months we'll always have some type of update. Um, and then it was September of 2020, and like we're 1 year out, and I'm like, okay, we're still 1 year out. We got this, right? Like, it seems like it's getting better. I think. I don't know.
Right.
We'll wait until like 2021 and early 2021. I was like, okay, COVID is getting better, right? Like, it's a roller coaster right now, but it seems like things are opening up.
Right.
Travel was opening up. I was listening to your podcast, and I think everyone was already postponing, and they
Right.
were rebooking, and they were going, despite COVID, they were just like, all right, lower the guest list, right? At this point, everyone was just like, F it, let's keep it going, let's keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And then there was also brides that were just postponing it for the third time, right? Like, I had a friend who she postponed her wedding. She's like one of my best friends, but she postponed her wedding 3 times. And on the third time, there still was no dancing, and there still wasn't any, like, it was still mask on type of thing.
So
And
she may as well have, yeah.
right, and it's still the same price, and she lost money from the postponing, right? But you just got to keep the ball rolling. Just like how we dealt with it, we just kept hopeful, and I was very upfront with everyone. I'm not going to cancel the wedding. I'll just keep it going. At this point, when we paid, I think we already paid. We're 20,000 in already at that point.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no refunds on this. We'll keep it going, with or without guests.
Yeah.
At this point, whether it's an elopement or, I was like, girl, elope or have a few guests, I don't care. Like, we're gonna keep it going, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So let's dig into the details. How did you find your Desti Pros, like your photographer and your decor? I love your decor, and I love who did your decor, by the way, too. So go ahead and shout that one out because I
Yes.
love her.
So for decor, I talked to 2 different vendors, right? With each resort, I'm sure all the Desti brides hear it all the time from you and in your show, and there's a lot of vendors or resorts that require you pick from a list of vendors. Otherwise, you would have to pay a vendor fee.
Right.
Decor wasn't the one that I wanted to pay a vendor fee for. Vendor fees are very expensive, and I was like, okay, I'm sure these professionals are also good. I had to look up their work. I contacted both to get a quote. I think I contacted Corazon, and it would take about 3 to 4 weeks to hear back from them. And I was like, I'm not about that. I'm not a person who will wait 3 to 4 weeks for you to answer me. That's not going to happen. Not on my watch. Then I contacted Cantero, and I spoke with Gabby.
I love Gabby.
Yes,
she's
out to
amazing.
Gabby.
Shout out to Gabby.
Yes, she is everything. She is everything. She's one of the vendors that made my life easier. and her work is beautiful. It just like everything that she posts, I'm like, wow. She did hit me back up within like the same day, I think, if not 24 hours. And I was like, well, there you go. Right. I think I'll go with her. She asked me about what I like, right, and all the what kind of style. And there were so many styles, like elegant, right, modern type of wedding, like glam and like fabulous type of weddings, right? Like it all depends. Like, do you like super white florals or bohemian style? And I've noticed myself more leaning more towards like bohemian, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
engagement photos, it was all like super boho with the um, um, like a brownish tint or orangey tint of the photo. So I was like sepia.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I like boho, right? And so I looked into like bohemian weddings on Pinterest, and I was like, wow, I really like this. And then I found bohemian wedding pinned on Cantero, and I was like,
Mm.
wow, this is Gabby's work. Beautiful, beautiful work. And so I told her, I showed her some pictures, and then add a little like tweaks of what I like in decor. And I told her I was very into pampas, like the dried pampas, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how I wanted it, right? I'm very into like champagne and gold and
Yeah.
like orangey because my wedding is um, I called it terracotta. It was hard to find a
Oh,
terracotta
that
dress.
makes so much sense. That is so perfect. Thinking about your bouquet and the colors, that is exactly it is. That makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. I'll drop some photos since I'm jumping in. I'll drop some photos right now while you're talking. So no.
Thanks. Yes. So terracotta was my color. So I was like, Pampas, terracotta, right? Like all these champagne colors. Like this is my color, my wedding color, and it's very different than most. You can't just be like, hey, at a bridal shop, hey, can I get a terracotta dress? They'll be like, a what?
Right.
Right? Like, what
No.
color is that? Like orange? Like, no, girl, it's not orange. Like
It's
rust?
very
No, it's not
Cali of
rust.
you. It's very Cali of you, by the way, too. Very Cali
Right.
girl. Right.
It is. It is. Um, so yeah, so that's shout out to Gabby and the Cantero family on the decor. Most of my decor is from Cantero. I didn't go through anyone else. Like if I needed, what else did I need? I needed like extra tables or like chairs and lighting. I just went through their whole setup because I didn't want to go through anyone else. Like I said, Gabby's very good at communicating and getting everything that you like and more.
Yeah.
You know,
What's
like
funny?
she'll if
No, go ahead.
like for example, like the lighting. I really like the string lights, right? And I was like, how would it look if we added string lights for lighting, right? Like lighting purposes, because um, obviously where we had the reception was like dark because it's an underground cave. And they had natural lighting, but I wanted more, right? Just so photos wouldn't look so dark.
Right.
Um, and these are the things that run through my mind, right? Like, I don't want dark photos. So let me go ask the photographer, hey, how do you deal with the darkness? Do you need me to add more light?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
right? Because if that's the case, I'll go back to Gabby and I'll say, hey, Gabby, what you think about more lights? And she was like, more lights, more better, right? And I was like, okay, right? And she was just like, it'll be beautiful. And we could even have it streamed down. And I was just thinking of all these ideas. I'm like, yeah, like instead of going horizontal, we'll have it like vertical. Like it, it would be beautiful. Like just hanging down from what do they call it? Palapa, right?
Yeah.
Like that little straw hut thing.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I think that'd be beautiful too. But the photographer was like, no, I have new lenses that focus on dark areas, such as caves, underwater, right? And I was like, okay, so we don't need the lights. Cut down on that, right? So
Okay.
communicating with Gabby, it was just fantastic. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is I haven't officially met her, well, like in person or anything yet, but I'll be sure to forward this to her too because she's gonna love all that you're saying about her. But I've been like introduced and email, but never like actually met. But I'm a crazy fan. I was thinking about her for our wedding too. Like her work is just amazing, and I've seen how it's grown too. And she's just super super sweet and really nice from what I've seen. So this is
Her
just
production is like beautiful. It just keeps growing, and it's like upgrading, and like I'm like, wow, these like ideas are like, wow.
yeah. I got married in 2017, and I was like into her then, and to see what she does now is like, and you love to see that, right? It's not like all the weddings are the exact same anymore. You know, that's boring. You need to grow and grow with the time. So. So that's perfect. So, and she was on the list, so that worked out beautifully for you. Okay.
She was on the list.
Okay, and what about what was next?
The photographer. You need to hit him up too about this because I cannot rave enough about my photographer. I think he was one of the main reasons why I stayed with my decision in Mexico. So I think before I traveled to Mexico, I spoke with Matt from Del Sol Photography. And I looked up his work, and, you know, like, I think he was like featured in like Forbes magazine. He had beautiful work. That was more in the artistic side. So like weddings that were on a boat, and he would be in the water taking pictures of the couple on the boat, like in like his wetsuit and stuff. Like as he's like, you know, doing whatever he needs to do, he'll take a picture underwater, right? Like he's like known, their company's like known for like the most artistic type things that you wouldn't even think of, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I was like, I got to talk to this guy and see like what's the budget like for the photographer. When I talked to Matt, he was very brief on like contacting you back. So it was like set up an appointment and he'll call you. And when he called me, it was like a whole hour and a half conversation because
that's always a good, that's great. The time. Yeah.
And he was like not in a rush. He'll tell me everything. He'll ask me what I'm into, what kind of photos I'm looking for, and the style. And he said, we'll go into it, but what am I looking for? Do I have any questions on Mexico? I guess he's from the United States, and he lives in Playa del Carmen. So he was like, if you have any questions about the area or what to do or where to go or where to eat or have like a reception or any ideas or any resorts, like have you looked at the resorts, right? And I'm like, oh, is he like a wedding planner? Like, you know, like, he's good at this. And I would tell him about Xcaret and how I saw his photos at Xcaret Park. And he was like, I could send them to you, and so you could get ideas from it, which is where I saw Hotel Xcaret and Xcaret Park. And he was like, yes, it's a 5-star resort here in Playa del Carmen. Beautiful place. If you've never been, go check it out. Right. There's like, I think he also said like Secrets Maroma, or
that's
like,
where we got married. Yeah.
There's that. And then there was like, what else? Dreams, like a Dreams resort that was close by too. He was just like, you know, these are all resorts that seem to be your type. Like you like high end type of resorts. But he goes, from your taste, I think you're like more of an Xcaret girl. So like, you might want to check that out. I was like, okay. He goes, if you have any questions, I'm open to them. Like, you know, just let me know. And, we have like this whole hour and a half conversation, and he told me more about Mexico than I've ever known. Like, I'm like, oh, wow, this guy knows so much about the location. It was like talking to a concierge. Let's put it that way, right? Talking to a concierge. And as I talked to him, he told me, you know, if I book services with him, he owns the company. But they also have a travel agency, which is Del Sol Travels.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So I booked Del Sol Photography and then used Del Sol Travels for travel agents, right? And at this point, like, I heard your podcast. I forget which one. Like, this is so long ago. But they're like, okay, no, you need a travel agent. I was like, okay, cool. So this one comes with it, right? I was
Yes,
like, this one
right.
comes with it. And I love his pictures. And he's very like vocal about what to expect at these resorts, right? I didn't book him. Initially, I booked with um, a different company or John Carlo because he was a vendor
Okay.
and like a preferred vendor, and I didn't want to pay the vendor fees. I think the vendor fees was like $750 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was between like 550 and 750 depending on which category it went to.
Right.
And so I booked with John Carlo. Matt called me back a week later and told me, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? Like, just wanted to check in. Did you check out the resort? I said, "Yeah, we're gonna check it out next week. Contact me back after." And he's like, "Hey, you'll contact me back after?" Yeah.
He was
I
really
was
on
like,
it.
yeah, he was just like, "Hey, just checking in. Like, how'd you like it? Did you have any questions?" I was like, "Yeah, we booked it." And he goes, "Okay. What'd you like about it or whatever? And if you're ready to book, let me know." Right. And I'm just like, he's very on it. Right. And I told him, I was like, I really wanted to go with you, but unfortunately I can't afford your prices. Right.
Right.
And like, he was just like, well, what can you afford? Right. And
Oh
I was like,
wow. Yeah.
and I was just like, okay, well, this is what my budget is on this. And whatever. And I was like, but I really like your work. He was like, I have colleagues that'll be able to do it for that price. And I was like, well, I
Right.
didn't want colleagues. I wanted you. Right.
Right.
I was like, no offense, but I want you to do it. I was like,
Yeah.
I build rapport with you. Like, I love speaking with you and I love your company and how you guys check in. Like, you're very easy to talk to. Communication as well. Like this is it would have been great to just work with you. He was like, okay, how's this? I'll pay for the vendor fee, right? And he's like, it's
Oh
unfortunate.
wow.
And so he worked with me by like taking care of the vendor fee. And I was like, all right, like I'll cancel with the other guy then, right? And I booked him, and I don't regret it. I think the number one company that actually helped me was Matt. If
Yeah.
I had issues with communicating with a resort, Matt would be like the liaison. If I had trouble looking for a vendor, like for a show, or I was looking for an acrobat, or like some type of acrobatic type of Cirque du Soleil show for the wedding. Matt knew some people, so he was just like, "Let me go see if they're available." Right?
Mm.
He would go out of his way to help me find vendors that would work with me.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so I'm like, he was more of a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator than the resort itself. So I I have nothing bad to say about Matt. Up until the day of, I was super comfortable with him. He knew exactly what I wanted. They took like very cool like cave photos, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer type of photos. I love that. I was like, ooh, that's sensual. That's new. Like that's not me, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Buffy the Vampire. So that's funny. So what's funny? So I have to just commend you on your honesty with this because Del Sol Photography was my dream photographer. I absolutely love who we went with. We ended up going with Shenko Photography, and they were absolutely amazing. Initially found Del Sol again back. This was in 2015, I feel like. And then I don't know if Soul is still working, but
Yes.
Soul, her work, I mean, crazy. And their pricing, they were one, all of our vendors were off resort because we were off resort anyway. But their pricing just it didn't fit for us. It was entirely too much. And I kind of just fell back a little bit and they didn't really push it too much. I feel like it might have been like a follow-up once. And I was like, yeah, I'll be in touch. But I wish, like, I'm listening to you and I love that you were like, hey, I love you. I just can't afford you. And I feel like there's one. And nothing says that, like, you just have to be honest about that, right? You have to be honest with yourself about it and then just be open. And who knows what'll happen, right? So it doesn't mean that necessarily that, I could have said that then and they would have been like, oh, well. But I did see, because they have like the tiers, right? They have the different types, you know, the different ones. And I didn't want, like, we could go one, I didn't want that. I wanted soul. And I just didn't push it. And listening to you, I'm inspired, and I'm love, like, I hope you guys are listening and watching her right now and going, hey, if, you know, be honest and talk to these people, because they own their businesses, or they're business people, and who knows what they can do and what they're willing, especially when it comes to these resort fees. I'm hearing enough times where a lot of vendors, you know, you don't want to not get the business at all. So, you know, sometimes they're willing to meet with you. So I love that that's what you decided to do. And I love that it worked out for you too, because yes, your photos are absolutely amazing. And when I saw your vendor list, I was like, oh my gosh, she had like my dream. Like, wait a minute, she had my dream with it. She got Gabby. She got Del Sol. Like, wait a minute, you know. I did get our dream florist. I love Moni our florist. That was the one for me. But I love that. I love that you did that. That's important to make sure that you do. So great job.
I mean, dreams do come true, right? Like, they'll work with you. They're business people. They're, especially with Matt, I think because he is very passionate about his job, and he disagrees with resorts having to charge on vendor fees, right? Yeah. And I think that was one of the biggest topics that me and Matt talked about. Like, it's unfair for the clients, right? You're spending all this money and you're telling them you're limiting other businesses from actually working in that resort just because they don't want to pay the resort a vendor fee. Hence, they're not part of that preferred list of vendors, right?
Yeah.
It's just a messed up process, right? Like, it's already messed up that we're paying all this money and then we don't get the best. And Matt is the best. I'm going to tell you that much. He is the best. He acted as like I said, like my wedding planner. If I had issues I couldn't understand, a lot of vendors, because they only spoke Spanish, I would like CC Matt, and Matt would like take care of it. I'm like, you know what? I can't. No, Matt, I can't do this. Like, I don't understand am I getting played? Are they playing me? Like, are they overcharging me? And so yeah, Del Sol and Cantedo was my biggest help.
Good. Well, I love that. And I'll be reaching out to them too, because they're amazing. So when it came to the difficulties that you had with the resort, now COVID hit. Interestingly, when you were at the resort and you visited, they were there. They were really, like, how did communication work throughout the time of your planning?
Basically, on the day of our interview and when we're trying to sign, obviously they're selling it to you, right? Like, the sales department is selling you the wedding, your dream wedding. So their sales pitch is really good, right? Because they'll show you every possibility, all these photos, they'll take you to that place. We went inside of that church, on top of that pyramid, right? They know how to work you. So they'll go to the front of the pyramid and they'll take you to the back of the pyramid, up the elevator, right? Open the elevator, open the doors. And they open the doors and tell me why the angels were singing. They were like, ah. I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, literally. I started crying. I was like, and the angels were coming on the ceilings. They're like,
wait. You're serious? Like, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant in your mind. Like, that was, no, like, literally.
No, like, this is part of their pitch. I'm telling you, they take you up and, like, they open the doors and, like, the angels are singing and, like, you look, they're like, yeah, look at the ceiling. This is a chapel with the angels. So you see the angels, they're on the ceiling, and, like, the voices, like how I sang it, girl, that's exactly how the sounds were. The violins were playing. I was like, oh my gosh, I start crying because I'm, like, walking down the aisle.
No wonder you're like, this is it. Yeah. And Alex is looking at you like,
she got caught. She got caught in
sucker.
This bitch. Yeah. At this point, it's like, okay, well, I guess, like, I have no say. Like, no, you don't. You don't have a say after this. No.
Don't miss part two. 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 Don't miss part two.